My name is Cheta Nwanze. I'm a partner at SBM Intelligence. We're a research organization that does research sociopolitics, geoeconomics, and do risk advisory out of Lagos, Nigeria. The remittances are a natural consequence of people leaving the country. When you say that how can we export labor, that's also a wrong premise. We already export labor. Nigeria has been, or the area called Nigeria has been a net exporter of human beings for close to 500 years, if not more. So there's really nothing new in that. Where the problem becomes is in the very nature of remittances. So let's take me as an example. Assume that I decide to jackpot today and go to Canada. I will send money to my family back here. If I jackpot to Canada, I will likely go with my kids. My kids have cousins here. So as they grow older, and because of the relative higher purchasing power and higher disposable income they would have in Canada, and because of the familial connections that they've already established with their cousins here, they would still send some money, but not as much as someone like me who grew up here, whose entire emotional connection is to here. But their own kids, the third generation who will be born there, will not have such connections. And at that point, that remittance pipeline will be cut. So it's something that we need to understand first about the nature of remittances. Remittances, at most, from a particular stream, will last 3 generations, nothing more. 2 generations, 3 generations if you're lucky. And that's the end of it. Having said that, the export of skilled labor, or whatever language you want to couch it in, and sending money back is actually probably a lot more than oil, because the 5.1 billion USD that you mentioned for Q1 of 2022 is what was officially captured. It did not take into account the fact that, for example, peer-to-peer transfers, a lot of people increasingly, because they want to avoid the artificial rates of the CBN and make the most for make more naira for their dollar, a lot of people do peer-to-peer transfers now. A lot of people find other ways to send money now. So these are other things. Now, the key advantage of the remittance phenomenon is, in my view, is that ultimately it demands for more accountability, because this is money that people worked for. They worked very hard for this money. So they're not just going to dash some government people, which is a fundamental difference between remittances and oil. Oil money essentially is removed from the people, and the only thing that people are left with in most cases is a bad environment. But they don't see how the oil is extracted. The oil is extracted and taken to the high seas and taken away without actually touching the community. And that's one of the things that encourages large flow of corruption, because the oil, there's no connection between the extraction of oil, or there's no apparent connection between the extraction of oil and the people it is meant to serve. But with remittances, because people work for that money, they can see it and it pay them directly. So they are more likely to follow it closely to see how it is spent. So a source of income such as remittance is actually better for us as a people in the long term than just relying on oil. And where I say oil, you can replace the word oil and put commodities. We need to move away from commodities-driven revenue and move more towards work-driven revenue, whether it is value-add production, whether it is exportation of labor, whatever it is, but something that will, by its very nature, make the people who are spending money, tax revenue, for example, to demand accountability. That is the way I see it. I hope I answered the question properly. I'm not quite sure you can standardize the labor that you export for a very simple reason. Countries that are demanding for labor are demanding for particular skills, and they will take people who need those skills. So you can't build the best that we could do, probably, and this is something that we're failing to do, is try to eat India's lunch as an example. So if we give the opportunity to set up large-scale call centers in Nigeria, and people don't have to leave Nigeria in order to work in those call centers, but the call centers are serving, for example, the American market or the European markets, and we have a comparative advantage over India in that respect, in terms of time zone and the fact that a larger proportion of our people speak English, but we've not taken advantage of that. Such people don't have to leave. We are still exporting labor in that respect, but they are still physically in Nigeria. So that is something that we've not even looked at with any seriousness at all, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. But saying, "Oh, let us standardize our labor for exports," is, in my view, is a failing premise, because you don't know what the markets in the other country will demand at that point. So, for example, the flavor of the month right now in the UK, Saudi Arabia, is Nigerian doctors. In the UK specifically, because the NHS is in trouble and care homes are also in trouble. How do you standardize for that? Why should you standardize for that? Remittances are improving the quality of life of the recipients. The issue is that the remittances, like I explained earlier, remittances are coming in largely through unofficial channels that are not captured by the governments. And for good reason. The average Nigerian does not trust the government to make use of his revenue properly. So people will look for ways to circumvent the system. Secondly, people want more naira for their dollar. The official rates of exchange of the naira, I think, is 423 or something. I could check, but okay, let me at least one that I've exchanged recently. The official rate for the pound is 493, but the street rate for the pound is about 800. So if I'm remitting from the UK, for example, why would I want to remit through official channels when I'll lose almost half the value? So those remittances are, because they are not captured officially, they can't go through government coffers and help the government. But at an individual level, they are helping improve the quality of people's lives.